and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We have a wonderful show talking about a very, very important topic that I think, as you listen, you are going to be surprised at some of the things you hear. Not necessarily in a good way, but we are very, very honored to have with us Major Hester with the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Department. In fact, Brian, you just got promoted, what, 3-4 months ago?
Back in April, I was promoted to Major.
Oh, that's great, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And you have been, let's talk about, before we talk about the topic, which is hot and important and is a great way to lead into the summer and all the things that are going to be going on with our kids. Give us some background about yourself.
So thank you for having me. First of all, it's awesome to be here.
No, this is great.
To talk about the things we're going to talk about. But I've been in law enforcement now for about 24 years.
Wow. Okay.
I've been with St. Lucie County since 1998.
Okay.
I've worked about everywhere in St. Lucie County that you could work.
Really? Well, tell me about that.
As I started out on patrol. I worked as a patrol deputy. I was in our Special Investigations Unit.
Okay.
I was in our Criminal Investigations Division. I've worked over the School Resource Division, over the courthouses, and I was over the training unit for about 4 years. In accreditation, I'm an assessor for the Sheriff's Office as well. So I've been pretty much all throughout our agency over my years there.
So talk about cross-training. Oh, my gosh.
And it's really good. It's really benefited me, especially being promoted to Major.
Sure.
And being a department director where I have, multiple sections that are under my division. So there's a lot of responsibility there, and being in those areas, I'm very familiar with how they work.
Right. Now, what exactly, excuse my ignorance, even with what I do, but because that's a big deal to be a major in the Sheriff's Department. What does that mean? You oversee a particular department? You oversee basically, you're pretty much the second tier under the sheriff, are you not?
So there's the sheriff, there's the chief deputy that's under him, and then there's 3 majors with St. Lucie County.
Okay.
And each major has a department that's under them. We have the detention falls under its own department, so that would be the jail and corrections, everything that goes with that. And then we have the Department of Law Enforcement, which encompasses the patrol operations, CID functions, and any patrol support. And then we have the Department of Administration, which is what I'm responsible for. So I have all the schools, all the courts, all accreditation, all background, all crime prevention, all community programs, and then I know I'm missing something there, but it's okay. So,
I'm overwhelmed, okay, and I'm impressed. Oh, my gosh. Okay. You are here because we are actually, because of a previous show that we had, the guest talked to me about a very important topic that, yes, I knew was important. Yes, I knew was an issue, but not as much as I'm learning today and have learned since he mentioned it, which is the vaping situation. Now, you are here as a major with the Sheriff's Department, but also you sit on the executive round table for St. Lucie County, correct?
It's not the round table, but I sit on the Circuit 19 Juvenile Justice Advisory Board.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yes. And one of the subdivisions or whatever of that is a vaping.
So what the advisory board does is we pick objectives to work on with regard to
juvenile.
Youth. Exactly. We just wrapped up one of our objectives was civil citation, which you're very familiar with, civil citation.
Yeah. Thank goodness for that.
And thank goodness. And we actually got a great MOU that our Circuit 19 is sharing that MOU. And, interestingly enough, the governor just mandated this year a lot of requirements with regard to juveniles and civil citation. So we finished that objective, and we were looking, okay, what is the next really big item that we need to take on as Circuit 19 with regard to our youth? And we all agreed that vaping and the teen vaping, the e-cigarettes were a huge epidemic. And so we decided that that was going to be our next committee that we wanted to work with. And so what we do is that advisory board creates a committee, and then that committee focuses on how we're going to attack this problem in Circuit 19.
Right, and that's you. You're the head of that. Okay. And we talked before the show started rolling, and I was amazed. But we've got to go over some of these facts. I know that, myself included, I had felt for, of course, this is just coming to fruition, if you will. The vaping hasn't been around forever. We're talking about, what, the last 6-7 years?
Correct.
Okay. But I always thought it was a safe alternative to cigarettes. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth, correct?
Correct.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
So, like you said, you know, when it was introduced 5 or 6 years ago, it was a safe alternative to cigarettes.
Right.
You know, there was a huge push, you know, nationally, campaigns against cigarettes. And so the e-cigarettes were the big thing. It's, you know, just a liquid compound, and there's, you know, no harmful side effects of smoke going into your lungs. Well, interestingly enough, in 2018, just last year, the FDA and the Surgeon General both declared that e-cigarette use is an epidemic in the United States, especially among teens. Over the past 6 years, there's been a 371% increase
which is
in teens using e-cigarettes. So, you know, one of the big misconceptions is, oh, it's just flavored water.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. There is nicotine in every one of those e-cigarettes and Juuls that are created. And Juul, when I refer to Juul,
yeah, let's talk about, because I didn't know what that meant either.
So there's e-cigarettes, electronic cigarettes.
Right.
Juul happens to be a brand. Juul happens to be one of the most popular brands.
And that's Juul?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you go into a convenience store or drug stores, a lot of time you'll see them sitting on the shelves behind the counter. Interestingly enough, December of 2018, Marlboro, the company, purchased Juul at an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
And so now they are the owners of Juul. Every one of those e-cigarette vials or cartridges, whatever you put in to them to smoke, contains nicotine. The levels of nicotine are astonishing that are in those.
Well, yeah, one cartridge equals,
and we'll use Juul, for example. And parents, this is the thing that parents, and what we've tried to do from a Circuit 19, our board, is to educate parents.
Exactly.
Because these Juuls look like a USB drive that you plug into your computer. So they could be laying on your counter as a parent, and you don't even know what you're looking at.
Right, right.
So you take Juul, take one cartridge.
And I have a quick question. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Do you know, like if you're smoking cigarettes and your parents don't know and you walk into the house, you're going to smell like smoke, so they're going to be on to you. Do you smell like smoke with these e-cigarettes?
So you don't. So
yeah, so you...
They have flavors. It's an aerosol that dissipates in the air.
Wow.
And they are flavored, and from time to time, depending on what the flavor that is being inhaled, and again, remember, it's flavored nicotine.
Yeah.
You might catch a vapor of, you know, grape or mango, but you're probably not going to, that's not going to draw a lot of attention.
Oh, no. No. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
So, with regard to those vials, I believe is what we were discussing.
Right.
One of those vials, smoking one vial is the same as smoking an entire pack of cigarettes. That's 20 cigarettes. The amount of nicotine in 20 cigarettes is the amount of nicotine that is in one vial. So nicotine now is being compared to the addiction rate of nicotine,
Right.
and the addictiveness of nicotine is being compared to that of heroin and cocaine.
Which is just, I mean, nobody knew that certainly 6 years ago. And I'm telling you, I don't think most people know that now.
Most people don't. And that's where we're trying our best to educate.
Right, right.
And, you know, we're doing what we're doing here in Circuit 19, but this is not just something we're taking on. It's been taken on all across Florida and all across the
country,
United States.
yeah.
And we've got some great partners, and I really should speak to that we've partnered with the health department. We did a media blast a month or so ago. We had a physician, a local physician, who weighed in on the topic. We had a school superintendent weigh in.
Oh, great.
And then we had Clint Sperber right here from the St. Louis County Health Department. And, you know, Clint has some really good programs. Tobacco-free Florida, there's a lot of funding. There's a lot of these facts, I'm telling you, come from Tobacco-free Florida. But we had this panel along with Chief John Bulldog of the Port St. Lucie Police Department to sort of weigh in on every perspective for parents. So not only what nicotine does to you from you know, the statistical standpoint, but what a physician sees in the ERs, what the school board's take on this is, and then obviously the legal ramifications at the end of the day, because we're talking about nicotine right now in the vaping, but the thing that we've seen in law enforcement is, as anything, vaping has now become a means of taking in illegal drugs as well.
Right, right. And I was also shocked, as we were talking earlier. You know, you can use these e-cigarettes to put THC, which is the hallucinogenic or whatever, the drug part of marijuana. And
Correct.
Actually, I guess kids are OD. I mean, I've never heard until now anyone ODing on marijuana, but I guess with the THC content and how, I guess the percentage is what, 90, 98%?
Very high.
They are ODing on THC.
So let's step aside from the nicotine aspect and just, you know, that part that we were talking about and the health effects. But now a lot of youth are starting, like I said, to use the vaping and these cigarettes as a mechanism to get THC into their system.
Right.
So like we were discussing outside that, you know, if we think back, and I don't want to show my age here, but if we think back, a traditional marijuana cigarette, you know, 15, 20 years ago contained 2 to 3% THC. Now with the lab manufacturing of marijuana, the THC levels in a leafy, you know, marijuana cigarette or a bud, what you as people call it, can reach up to 15%.
Right.
The fact that these are oils, THC oils, that are created in a lab, they're a chemical compound created with chemicals that maybe you don't want to put into your body as well.
Yeah.
But we're seeing levels of THC as high as 90%.
Which is just crazy.
Being injected into these vials. Okay, so an empty vial they'll inject the liquid THC into, and then they'll smoke it. And so we're seeing kids that have never used marijuana in their life, and at school somebody's like, hey, try this, and they try it, and they're ODing right there at the lunchroom table. They are vomiting on themselves, aspirating, and going into an unconscious state and being transported by rescue to the ER.
And I'm telling you, the public does not know this. And you know, if obviously you're right in the middle of it, thank goodness. But there has to be an all-out educational thrust with the parents, with the kids. You know, and like you say, I think it's what's so scary about it. You know, you have a bag of pot, you know, if your parents find it, they know what it is, most of them, you know, whatever. But this could be sitting, you know, looking like a computer, you know, part.
And even the vials, when our deputies are finding them in the schools mainly,
Right.
When they come across them, it's hard to just visually tell if it's a nicotine vial or if it's has THC in it. So we have to actually break them open and test them.
Right. Do a field test right there.
Do a field test to determine what it is. And the other thing that, you know, parents and these kids don't understand is you could get caught with a marijuana cigarette,
right,
and it's a misdemeanor. However, these vials of THC are felony charges.
Yeah.
It's a controlled substance without a prescription.
Right.
And so what we saw happen, especially at the end of the school year this year, it was very alarming to us that kids were getting caught with them on campus. Not only were they getting a felony charge, and as you know, if you have a felony, I can't put you in civil citation.
Right.
We have to send you through the diversion side, the drug court side, which is much more cumbersome for kids and parents.
Right.
Stays on their record longer till they're not a juvenile.
Exactly.
And there's a process to go through to get it expunged. So it's not like civil citation, but not only that, but they're getting expelled from school for it.
Right.
If they are coming back to school next year, they have to go to an alternative school.
Wow. See, I didn't. I didn't know that.
So they're getting taken. These kids don't realize that.
Right. How serious?
We saw kids at the end of this school year getting expelled and not being able to graduate with their best friends that they've been through school with. Yeah. All because they made a really bad choice.
Right.
And I think a lot of it is just lack of education.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know, and going back to the, let's just talk about your garden variety e-cigarette, the one with the nicotine, not the drugs. The thing that is so scary, I guess, is that because they are new, we don't have the data, the research to know what it's doing to their lungs, what it's doing to their system, all of that. I mean, it's so new that, I mean, this could end up killing people quicker than the
And you're absolutely correct. We have no, nationally, the Surgeon General, the FDA, no one has long-term data to show what this inhalation of this chemical compound is going to do long-term to the lungs.
Right.
And, you know, they created e-cigarettes because of the carcinogen that was in tobacco and smoking and inhaling the smoke. And now we have this compound that is chemical-based, and it's aerosol is going into the lungs, and it's not water either.
Right, right.
So there has been some research that has shown crystallization in the lungs of young people that use the e-cigarettes on a regular basis. And there's been some studies that show a waxy film developing in lungs, all of which I can't imagine does anything positive for your body.
No.
You know, and that's what's hard.
And Major, how expensive, you know, I mean, I don't know how people afford cigarettes, but these are even, I mean, what are we talking about as far as costs?
So anywhere from $15 to $20 for the devices upwards. Now, you know, depending on how fancy.
Because you see the places sprouting up everywhere. You know.
Yeah. There's vape shops. You know,
I mean.
You can buy all the flavors and everything. And then the vials and the cartridges can range anywhere from $2 to $3 per cartridge. $12 to $15 for a pack of cartridges of 3. And
once you do that cartridge, smoke that cartridge, I mean, you can't smoke part of it. You smoke the whole thing, and that's your 20 cigarettes.
That's your 20 cigarettes.
Dear God, oh my goodness.
So
what can we do? What are you planning? What's your group planning on doing to battle this?
So we did an initial what we call a media blast. And what it was we invited all the local media outlets, TV, newspaper, any media outlet that was out there to come and sit on this panel and watch our panel, ask them questions and do stories.
Right.
And all the media outlets did some phenomenal stories, aired them for about 24 hours and put them in their different newspapers and online papers and whatnot. So that was our initial education piece, and that was just something quick and dirty. We wanted to do it at the end of the school year, going into summer.
Right.
Long term, we have an education plan to parents within the circuit, and the school districts are working with us to do that. And we're hoping to get orientation time with parents. We're hoping to get media time within the schools, all the back-to-school events, having our deputies in the schools doing education pieces with the students.
Right.
And then just finding every outlet to educate the parents.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of resources out there to educate the parents. We're passing out our crime prevention unit at the sheriff's office has a list of flyers from the health department on the statistics and on the effects.
And some of the stuff you've already talked about.
And we're trying at specific venues pass those out. But just like being on your show, it's so important. And if parents have questions, they can contact the health department. They can contact us at the sheriff's office. They can contact me directly.
Right.
And I will put them in touch with the proper person to answer their question if I can't. But the thing is, don't be naive to it for the parents.
Right.
Ask the question. Ask your kids if they're doing it. Ask your kids if they've tried it and understand. And then if they don't understand the effects, share with them those effects. Have them watch. There's online videos to watch.
Right.
But 1 in 4 teens in our Circuit 19, which encompasses our 5 counties, are actively using some sort of e-cigarette.
Well, and you did, let's talk about that for a moment. You actually did a survey just to see where we were at. And that was part of the catalyst to say, oh my gosh, we got to deal with this. What did that survey reveal? The one in 4.
So this was a survey given to middle school and high school students.
Okay.
Throughout the entire Circuit 19.
Okay.
So this was kids. This wasn't adults. This wasn't speculation. Roughly 35% stated they've tried them. So there's 35%.
That's
one-third is saying they have tried this.
Now, let me stop you a second. And you may not know the answer to this. How does that compare to drugs? I mean, to marijuana, let's say. Do you have any idea?
I don't have.
Yeah, I wonder.
I did hear the statistic on that, but I can't remember what it was.
Right. I just wonder how. But anyway, go ahead.
So let's say a third have tried it. 25%, 1 in 4, is actively using it. And that's an average. Each county's a little bit different. One county may be 27, one may be 23.
Right. But they're all.
But that's an average among our 5 counties.
Wow.
The interesting thing is 40% of the kids surveyed said they're exposed to secondhand e-cigarette smoke at home because one of their parents does it.
Oh, God. So
almost half see it on a daily basis in their home. And again, that goes back to where parents, there's a misnomer that this isn't as bad as smoking. This is an alternative to smoking. This is a way to quit smoking.
Well, and again, we're stymied, if you will, because it hasn't been around forever. So now we know, the secondhand smoke will kill you, not as much as smoking yourself. But I mean, we were all part of the era where you got on a plane, you had the smoking section and the non-smoking, and you'd be, that was, you could sit, and that is terrible. But the secondhand smoke, we don't have enough data, if you will, yet to know how quick that'll kill you. But obviously, it can't be good for you either, just like the vaping. But go ahead.
And I fully believe that if the parents think it is safer,
sure,
they're going to think that it's safer for their children.
Right.
And I think this is where the education piece really needs to come out, and parents need to be aware of the dangers of it long term. You know, studies, the FDA, Surgeon General, there's other studies out there that are showing that if you are addicted to nicotine, okay, and we talked about how addictive it is,
right,
that you're 6 times more likely to be addicted to some other illegal drug.
Sure.
So
sure.
we know those studies and those that are out there. So, you know,
so we got a problem we got to deal with.
We do.
Yeah. Now, what about the convenience stores? Has anyone been arrested, given citations? I mean, where are they in this spectrum as far as selling? It's obviously illegal to sell to a minor.
Correct. And so we do, as we've done for years with the tobacco and with the alcohol prevention for minors, we do operations where we go and take undercover minors into these stores in an attempt to buy tobacco or alcohol. Well, this past spring break, we specifically targeted the e-cigarettes.
Right.
And I believe we hit, it was more than 40 stores in St. Lucie County. I want to say it was almost 60 stores.
Really?
In St. Lucie County.
That's
over a 3-day period.
Yeah.
And we strategically did this prior to spring break because we knew the kids would be out of school for spring break. And we wanted to let the stores know, you know, that we were monitoring this.
Right.
And we had roughly maybe 4 to 8 stores where a clerk, and again, it's not always representative of the store or the business.
Right. It could
but
be
a clerk
the clerk
who did not check the ID and who sold to a minor. And those clerks were issued citations for selling to a minor, which is a misdemeanor.
Right.
And of course, the store gets notified, and the state alcohol and tobacco group is notified, and they can in turn take more sanctions against the stores and pull licenses.
Right.
But it's more of an awareness to let them know that we are, you know, keeping an eye on those stores as well. The stores that did the right thing, the sheriff sends a really nice letter to them, letting them know that. Of
course he does.
That we did this, and he lets them know, hey, you know, we appreciate what you're doing and that you're protecting our kids from these e-cigarettes.
Oh, wow. Good for him. Well, you know, we've got like less than a minute left. I wish you the best of luck on this. I know
Thank
this
you.
is a big hurdle. I think today's show will obviously educate the people that are watching, and that's my hope, and I know it's yours. But the phone number, you know, obviously they can call the health department, they can call the sheriff's department. Your number, if they want to ask you a question, Major, your number is
772-462-3611.
Okay.
And that goes directly to my assistant. If she doesn't answer or it doesn't ring to me, please leave a message. We return all our messages.
Yeah.
So we just may not be in it. Like today, we're out. So,
Gotcha.
But leave me a message, and I promise I'll call you back or the person back, and we'll point them in the right direction. I'll answer all the questions I can. So
that's perfect. Thank you so much.
thank you for having me.